Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Collaboration Conversations. Hey, I said it really well today. It didn't twist my tongue. Welcome to my beautiful co-host, Pearl Cox. Pearl, great to see you today.
Oh, it's wonderful. I look forward to these chats so much because I just love it when we brainstorm and chat about
Oh,
ideas.
me too. Me too. The biggest challenge for Pearl and I when we get together and brainstorm is keeping the roof on the room that we're in because our ideas just escalate. So, but it's so fun. So we've got something exciting to talk about today it's part of our origin story for the two of us coming together, and it's part of the work that we're working on together this year, and very excited. And so Pearl's going to handle the bulk of this. I'll ask her a few questions along the way, but this is Pearl's baby, and she does an amazing job with it. And that is, we're going to talk about International Women's Day, which is coming up soon. And to be honest, before I met Pearl last year, I hadn't paid very much attention to it. I'm not even sure I knew about it before I was introduced to you, Pearl.
I've had this a lot. I first got involved with International Women's Day in 2016. So it's not that long ago. I'd heard about it briefly and was always too late to the party and couldn't do anything. And then in 2016, people reached out and they said they wanted a woman who excelled in a male dominated area to tell their story to a secondary school. And literally, that here in the UK, they're called secondary schools. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same, what the equivalent is in the
It's
US,
probably
but
like our high school, I'm guessing. It's like
it's just
14 to 18-year-olds, somewhere in there.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what it was. And literally, so I gave a bit of my spiel that I worked in digital communications, male dominated, and I just shared some of the experience. And most people that know about my profile and my experience, the school said, yes, come and speak to our sixth form. These were the people that were literally taking their exams to go on to university. When I got there, they said the story was that strong. They had cleared their whole assembly hall, and all 300 girls from 14 upwards were all in the room to listen to me share
Wow.
that story. And I got 3 standing ovations sharing the story. And I thought, yeah, then, yes, that works. And from there, it was only last year. I hadn't done much. I used to send a post out and tag all the people that I thought were strong, empowered women in the network saying, what are you doing for International Women's Day? And I do nothing much else. Then I had,
Right.
as Facebook does, it sends us these memories, these reminders of what we did. And this
Yes.
up, it was just a text message, no image, nothing. And I just shared it. And whether it was divine guidance, literally, as I shared this is something I loved. I love sharing my message and I enjoy using International Women's Day. And I just did one sentence underneath it and said, I'm thinking about doing a project this year. Who would like to be involved? And the world exploded. Basically,
Yeah.
everyone came out. A wonderful, wonderful person, Bernie Floresca, he saw my post. He tagged you. He tagged a wealth of phenomenal women. And then we started to get involved. And that's where we just hit it off from the word go. And we've been
We
in
did.
collaborations and connecting and supporting each other ever since.
Ever since. Exactly. Yeah. And so that's where we met. And Pearl invited me onto her podcast, interviewed me on her podcast, and I participated in some of the panels that you put together. I want to come back to something you said, though, and a statistic that I was reminded of this morning. You mentioned that they wanted someone in a male dominated industry.
Yeah.
And I want our listeners to think about being an entrepreneur, being in business for yourself, being a business owner is a male dominated industry. Just that all by itself, no matter what it is that you're doing in that. And
Definitely.
there's some statistics, they're probably a few years old, a couple of years anyway. I'm not sure exactly the year they came out. But women-owned businesses on average make 67% less revenue than male-owned businesses. And that's an average of about $367,000 per year for a women-owned business. And that's 67% less than a male business. And then if you break that down into Latina women-owned businesses and Black women-owned businesses, those numbers become even greater and more disparity. So we, as female entrepreneurs, are all in a male-dominated industry, aren't we?
Exactly. And then that takes me back to every year, International Women's Day, the organisation has a theme, and they will have a hashtag and a theme to go with it, and it lasts the whole of the year, but everything ramps up around March, because obviously 8th of March is the International Women's Day. That's the date that's been given. But this year it's Break the Bias. So you actually saying about that and picking up on that, it's as with all of these key themes, the message will always be very different and will be personal to everyone that reads it. Some people will
Yeah,
have a political refrain from it, others will steer clear. I mean, the work I do, I cannot afford to have a political view. I have to be as
right.
it can come, but literally see. But there's always a chance to change, to break the bias. When we look at
Break the
historic
bias.
what women have done. When you look at George Eliot, when she wrote those books all those years ago, she had to write under a male pseudonym because women were not seen as authors. They were not given,
Right.
they weren't seen as intelligent enough to understand that and to see things like that.
Yes.
So when you think of it, when I say George and say she and her and those pronouns with it, it would be unheard of today. Everyone
Right.
believes, we all know we have the belief in ourselves that we can do anything, but
Yeah,
there is still a bias out there in so many
there
different
is.
ways that we
Yeah,
need to understand it. And this is where, once again, going back to International Women's Day organisation, that's partly what it was set up for, to have just one theme. We don't muddy the waters with lots of different themes, just one theme each year for women to get involved with and actually share and see what we can do to change that message and actually help break the bias, and see, by strong empowered women giving a voice and sharing their message, we can inspire young women, children, young ladies that are just starting off. It could be someone that's looking to change their career, that
yeah,
this madness that has been lockdown and COVID for the last few years, maybe it's you've taken the time to sit back and really think, go within and say you want to change. This is what I see my projects to do, is put empowered women in front of a global audience to share their
yeah.
message so that people can be inspired by it. Yes, you get interviewed by me to go onto my podcast and we promote it that way. We do all the, I'm looking at 6 to 7 panels that will be run on Zoom and will be live streamed, probably to Facebook and maybe to YouTube as well. Then I will share it onto LinkedIn. So you've got that message out there. And there's such a wide diversity of phenomenally empowered women that join the project. It's a chance to give a voice to each and every one of them. And you can
Absolutely.
guarantee everyone watching will resonate with at least once, probably one, probably more, but you will resonate with at least one person that is sharing their story.
And talk about an opportunity for collaboration conversations as all of these women come together in these panels, that opportunity for them to then, when they leave those panels and say, hey, that really resonated with me, what Susie said or Sally said or whoever, and reach out to that person and make that connection and continue those conversations. Really
Definitely.
great opportunities.
And
Yeah.
I'd say use this as well. If there's someone that you've listened to their story and you think, yes, I resonate with that lady, reach out, maybe ask if they'd mentor you, especially if you're
Oh,
coming,
yeah.
because that, you've got someone in leadership that you can actually follow. And if you can get a strong mentor very early on in your career, or even before
Oh,
you
wow.
start your career, you have so much potential there. Yes,
Exactly.
got your mind, you've got your intelligence that you can grow, but you have a mentor that has already done certain things and can make, they always talk about that passage where if you're going up the mountain you go in a wiggly line because it's not a straight line.
Right.
The mentor will help you have a straighter line because they will share
Straighter.
with you the mistakes they've already made, so that the person that
Absolutely.
you're mentoring doesn't make those mistakes. We've learned by our mistakes, and we can then share them with other people so you don't make
Yeah.
them.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of potential there, a lot of opportunity um, to grow personally and grow your business and grow your sphere of influence. And I mean, there's so many opportunities with this event that you're creating. I want to go back for just a moment and share a story with you when we talk about breaking the bias and how far we've come, but there's still some bias. Back in the early 80s, 1980-ish, 79, 80-ish. No, actually, it was before that. It was probably late 70s. I worked for a credit union, and I was the assistant manager of the credit union. I'd been there about 9 years, and the manager was going to be retiring, and I was responsible for taking the recording of the minutes of the board meetings and typing those up and getting them back to the parties who needed them. And as I was typing up the minutes from this one, I came across the discussion about the replacement for that position, for that manager position. And one of the board members said, "Oh, Regina would be a great manager for the credit union if she only weren't a woman."
Yes.
So I think there's much less of that out there now, but there may still be some of that. And we know, I mean, just looking at the numbers on the women-owned businesses, there are still biases, and whether that's getting, I mean, there's the good old boy club, and I don't know if that's a term in England or not, but here in the States, we have the good old boy club, and it's alive and well in a lot of ways, and he's a good old boy, we'll buy from him. He's a good old boy, we'll do this with him. And so women have, we have an uphill battle in a lot of ways on that. So I'm really excited about this year's theme and what can come from it.
And I think as well, we need to look at the whole idea of unconscious bias because
Oh yeah,
sometimes, yes, I think we're all triggered in one way or another when the word bias is used. And especially when they say unconscious bias, because you're thinking, but I don't have a bias bone in my body. But then when someone else, I've had quite a few discussions with guests on my podcast, and I did that last year. And two ladies come to mind, and I really urge people to go back and listen to their interviews. There's Sid Femtinos and there's Deborah Levine, and both of us, we spoke about unconscious bias. And
what was the first name, Pearl? What was the first name?
It's SYD Femtinos. She's a lovely, lovely lady. She's based in Birmingham here in the UK. Okay. She runs a school that prior to COVID, people would send their children there if they were homeschooling, and Sid would actually run something. Now she's taken it online, and she makes maths and science so exciting. Cool. And then she would say to me, Sid is Muslim, and she would say about certain things, and she has experienced bias throughout her career. And then she highlighted to me, she said, there's certain things historically, when she looked to see about scientists, you're almost categorized by sometimes the political people that are in power at the time. And it's that message that goes through. So you always have a slanted vision of history. And Sid shared about these phenomenal women, some of them based in Egypt, that had done groundbreaking work in maths and science, and no one had ever heard of them. Mm. And this is, again, quite often you see, if you look at the way children are taught and the way schools run their curriculum, you can see over time, depending on which political party is in power, the whole curriculum will change. Sometimes to begin with, it's slow and they won't do a radical change, but you can see, if you look back in history, the whole way that people are taught, and the children are taught, ultimately goes back to the political party that's in power.
Now, we've had a lot of that over here the last few years, the last several years. We've had a lot of that.
And a lot of it, that's where I say the unconscious bias, because especially if it's children being taught in a certain way, they don't know any different, because this is
Yeah.
the very start of their education.
Right.
It's understanding that. And this is where I really think this whole idea of break the bias, you, like I said at the beginning of this, you can take that topic and you can choose a multitude of ways to actually see that,
Right.
that just that very short sentence, that hashtag and what it means, and explore it. But again, you go back to the International Women's Day movement, just think how you can really help enlighten everyone, because everyone has a different story to share about how they interpret break
Right.
bias. And as you bring everyone together and everyone listening, I know from the wonderful guests and the women that are taking part in this project this year, I know there will be certain attitudes I have that I will change because of the interviews and the messages
Yeah.
that people share, because sometimes we don't know what we don't
Yeah.
know. And if
Again,
we
that unconscious bias.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And this is why,
Very interesting.
and it's being brave enough to embrace that. And a lot of
Yeah.
people, I did consider, I thought very carefully and long and hard, because I always use, like we said, I will replicate what I've done the year before because it worked, and
Right.
then tweak it and add things. And I really I had to sit and think, do I use the hashtag break the bias? And then, like the discussion we've had now, it hasn't become political. We haven't gone down
Right.
a rabbit hole that could cause so much misinterpretation. We've
Right.
really said from experience and historically where we can see examples that people can understand and
Yeah.
use that in their daily life, and
Right.
actually, right, there is that bias. I hadn't seen it there before, but now I feel more educated on that subject, and I know that I can approach things differently. The word diversity, everyone, it seems to be the buzzword, but do we truly understand it? If we don't understand we have unconscious bias, we cannot truly understand what the word
Yeah.
diversity means.
And I think that probably we all have some unconscious bias. And going back to the statement that you made, I don't have a bias bone in my body, and many of us think that. But again, there may be some of that unconscious bias that we need to discover and change.
And if you look, I mean, yes, I do marketing. If we look at the advertising arena, we have unconscious bias towards brands and products simply by what we see in adverts, and
Right.
that's what they make these agencies make their livelihood on. So
Sure.
yes, I can remember over here we have a paint brand called Dulux, and their brand signature is an Old English sheepdog. I've always called it a Dulux dog because I can remember even as a child, and when we'd be decorating my room, I was adamant I wanted the Dulux dog paint. Now, if that's not unconscious bias, what is? Simply, I wasn't bothered about the cost or what, all the
Right.
paint do the same thing, but because it had a cute Old English sheepdog in it,
Right.
why I wanted that brand. And this is what marketing will do. It will give
Right.
us an unconscious bias slant, because that's what their customers and clients are paying them to do.
Right.
And
Right.
certain soft drinks where you've got one that begins with P and one that begins with a C, and they taste very similar, but they are
Yeah.
constantly doing that thing to see almost a biased view as to which one you're going to choose.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can see in your mind's eye many commercials where they've done that, the blind taste tests and all of that. Sure.
And
Wow.
and it's understanding, when we fully understand what the word bias means,
Right.
is where we can have a far more educated view and bring it forward. And then by
Right.
doing that, you have that discussion in all areas of your life, because you have that understanding more. And it maybe makes you stop and think before you say something. You consider the impact of how it's going to land in the audience that is listening, in the group of that's in the
Yes.
conversation, and you
Yes.
consider everyone. And so often people don't do that. They're so rooted on sharing their idea, they
Yes.
forget to be sensitive to other people and show empathy.
And, I can relate to an experience, and I'm not going to share all the details of
Mhm.
it, but I was in a small group. It was a meeting, and then it had broken up in, kind of just a group of us standing around talking. And I remember using an expression that I had heard for years and years and years. The expression, I never paid any attention to it. It was something I had heard. And I realized as it rolled off my tongue that it could be very offensive to someone else in the group. And it wasn't meant that way at all,
Yeah.
But again, those things, stopping and listening to what you're going to say, think about it, hear it yourself before somebody else hears it, and make sure that it's appropriate and that it's respectful. And
Yeah.
I immediately had to apologize after I said it because it was just like, I did not mean that the way that came out. And it was just something I didn't think about. It was just a term I'd heard my husband say for years and years and years. And it just came out, and I was like, ooh, that's not such a good saying. I
But
never thought about it.
yes, but it's still in your memory. Those things when we
Yeah,
wake up in the middle of the night, and all the times we've done things that maybe we weren't happy with, and I think of
right.
when I've embarrassed myself, and but you go back to it. So
Yeah,
that shows the understanding, and
yeah,
it's almost saying yes. Sometimes we can't go back in history and
yeah.
take
We
those
can't
lessons.
change it, but we can grow from it, right? We can
Is
learn from it and grow from it.
and actually
Yeah,
see and it's owning a mistake. If we speak in error, it's owning that mistake and
exactly.
apologizing for it.
Own up to it.
Don't just push it away as if, oh no, it doesn't matter. It does matter.
Yeah, it
And I
does
think
matter.
that's something that people the world over need to understand. But that
Yeah,
when we apologize from the heart. Sometimes
right.
my parents used to say to me, they thought the word sorry was now a swear word because I used to say it so often. And then they used to say, sometimes it's almost ingrained. You say sorry. Like someone will walk into me and I will say, oh, I'm sorry. And then I realized, why am I apologizing when it's the other person that walked into me? And it's realizing that yes, we own it and apologize when we need to,
Right.
but also
Yeah,
the person listening to our apology needs to be gracious and understand that and show that empathy.
yeah,
Notice I use
exactly.
empathy and not sympathy.
Right.
Empathy is something
Empathy.
that people do not always embrace. And I think if we were a more empathic world, we'd find that there'd be less arguments because people would fully
Yeah,
understand the feeling
absolutely.
of the other.
Absolutely. I 100% believe that and have taught something very similar to that for a number of years.
This is why we get on so well,
I
because
know.
we finish each other's sentences now
Yep.
because we can do that.
Pearl, I want to ask you a question about, I mean, I know you have the panels and the podcast, but you have a project that's also related to International Women's Day, and that is your Women Who Lead project.
Yeah,
Can you
and
talk about that?
I can. I mean, I ideally it's a book collaboration. It's the first book collaboration I'm pulling together, and it's Pearls of Wisdom, Women Who Lead, and it's contributing authors, women that lead in a certain area. It's not a leadership book, but it is something where you could get to speak, use it as a PR system where you actually get to talk about and share what it is that you lead in, what your passion is. Ideally, I wanted it to be published to coincide with International Women's Day, but we learn to grow. And anyone that follows me knows, I've been quite seriously ill. I had a really bad chest infection and I can literally wipe out probably the last 3 months. So we're slightly delayed. We will be taking pre-orders on the book, but the book will now probably not be published until looking into April. But having said that, there is still plenty of scope for women that are listening to this that is, you can take part with the International Women's Day project and also join the Women Who Lead book collaboration, or you could do either or you can do both. It's still open there. Yes, we've got some phenomenally organised women that have already written their chapters. I haven't written mine yet because I've been so poorly. I still have to do some. So some of it might be down to me because I've been so delayed, but there are other people I know that are a part of the group that they've been poorly as well. So I think it's a case of resetting after the winter where so many people have been poorly and coming out again.
And the good news is we're good, and the bad news is that we live in a day and time when people understand because of all the things that are going on around us. We won't dive into that, but we all know what we're talking about. Yeah. So Pearl, if somebody's listening today and wants to get in touch with you about it or wants to be a part of it and they're not yet, what are you recommending?
Right now, is this where you can do your magic with the ticker tape? Yes,
it is.
This is where this is organised. I have set up a Facebook group with all the details where it will say the link where you can actually show your interest to join a particular panel and details about how you can sponsor an event. And as you can see, it's pointless me saying, because it's a Facebook group, there isn't a name to it. But if you're looking for it, it's IWD 2022, and that's the numerals 2022. But this link that's going across, that will take you directly to the group, and then you can ask to join. There are specific questions because of this, because the group grew so quickly last year. I had lots of people join it and basically they spammed. So I have had to put rules in place, and there are questions to be answered. And I need to state now, because I've had people that don't fit the dynamic for the group that have been trying to join. They aren't answering the questions. I have now added that if you don't respond to the questions, that's an automatic decline to the group, because I want people that are prepared. They've read the stuff, they resonate with what the rules and questions about the group are, and you can do that. I've got posts on Facebook, I've got posts on LinkedIn that is talking about this event and this group that will take you straight through so that you can join the project. Yes, there's still plenty of time. This time last year, I started this project last year, the week.
Sorry. Could you say that again?
Sorry, that's Siri. Siri always does that. Everyone laughs at that. I started this project last year, literally the week before International Women's Day. We've got a bit more time. I ran it throughout March and went on. Literally, I was still interviewing people from International Women's Day, October of last year. Many people were interested. So, and as we said, we might talk about a specific day, but the theme, an International Women's Day organisation, is a yearly thing.
Year-long theme.
Exactly. We will run this. There is potential to grow, and the connections you make from this group, we resonate in so many ways. These women are phenomenal. So yes, I put the intention out. I got 350 women that joined the project last year within 2 weeks. I'd aimed to hit 500. I just missed 500. I've put the intention out. I want 1,000 women to join. We're quite a way off at the minute, but I'm hoping, please put that message out. People that have already been part of this, of the International Women's Day project, please share it with others. You know how it resonates. You know how we build engagement. Please share this far and wide.
If you were in it last year, come back and join it again this year. I know I am. One of the things too that you've done, Pearl, is you were talking about the book and writing a chapter in the book, and you've made that very easy by giving us questions to guide our thought process as we write the book. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, this is it. See, this whole idea of writing a book, so many of us say, yes, there's a book inside me, but I'm never going to have time. Or that confidence factor, you hit that terror barrier and you don't want to move any further. If you put your toe in the water by just doing a contributing chapter, That's just 3,000 words. I've written 3,000 words in a day. And with the questions, you're guided. You're already given those trigger ideas to set your mind thinking about how you respond to the answer. So to actually
Right.
answer those questions, you can easily make it to 3,000 words. In fact, you could go over and need to edit it down. So
Yeah.
it shortens it, but it's that guidance. And by doing that, it helps you become established as an author, an international best-selling author, and then you can
Right.
go on to build your brand and write your own book, maybe go into further collaborations with it. But all it starts is with that short guidance. Like I said to you, I've written 3,000 words in a day because I had those guiding
Yeah, the
questions.
format.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Once. And that makes such a difference.
It does, and makes it so much easier to write. So awesome. Any other thoughts on this, Pearl? Anything else to do here with International Women's Day? I'm just looking at my notes real quickly.
Well,
Um,
I'd almost say, because this is what I was saying to you before we started. Yes, we start with this talking about the project, and it is dear to both of our hearts because it's thanks to that that you and I met. So I will
yeah,
forever be grateful. But
me too.
also, I know you've run masterminds, you've run collaborations. So I'm now going to flip it where I ask you some questions because
Okay.
we are so similar. Now, I know you invited me onto one of your mastermind groups, and it's been running for quite a few years, and you've
It
brought
has.
fantastic women together. Can you talk about that process that first led you to set that up and how you've built, you keep the engagement growing? Because like I said, you've run that for years now.
We have, and it has been, and we've had men in it at times, and they're certainly welcome, but the men haven't stayed, but the women have, and so there's kind of a tight knit group that I think we've been doing this mastermind for probably about 3 years now, 2 or 3 years, and we meet once a month. Originally, I think we met more frequently than that, but it's kind of become a hybrid, and we started off with a very formal structure with one or two hot seats every time we met, and and you had a preparation coach to help you get ready for your hot seat, and just a very formal approach to it. And a couple of years in, we decided that we could be a little less formal, and so now everybody kind of wanted to go with a little more relaxed model. And so now it's like anyone who has something can bring it up, and we'll all help them take care of it. And so we just open the floor to whatever challenges are out there, and then we help everyone through it. I know that some of the participants who are in there came through a challenge that I was doing. I had a 5-day challenge that I did several times on 5 steps to profit, a 5-day challenge on 5 steps to profit. And of course, I encouraged people to take it over and over again as well, not just take it once, because every time you take it, you're in a new place. I'm in a new place teaching it. I've grown, you've grown. You're going to hear something you might not have heard the first time around. Even if the content is the same, there may be some nuances that are different that you're ready to hear now. And so some of those women in that challenge, actually, some of the gifts that I gave were membership into the mastermind. And some of those women came in from that and have stayed. And then it has grown as I've encountered other people that I'd really like to have in there, like yourself, uh, and other dear friends that you know. Um, it's just grown, and it's like I said, we do it every first Monday of the month, and now we're doing a fun thing with it where every Monday morning I have a TV show that I do that's called Pursuing Profit with Principles. It's an E360 TV show, and it's on Barbara Beckley's platform, and I can put information in the comments about that. But what we do now is we start at 7:30 in the morning on the mastermind, and then at 8 o'clock we break the mastermind and go into the TV show and have a conversation around a topic in the TV show for 30 minutes, and then we go back to the mastermind and finish it up. But it's just a fun. It's really fun to bring that that whole group in as a panel on the TV show and have us discuss some topic. And so we have a different topic every month. And yeah, it's been awesome. And the collaborations that have come from all of that is just amazing.
I know,
Just
because
absolutely amazing.
I'm one of the sort of one of the older ladies to join. That's the wrong word. I'm very
More recently joined.
That's the word. Sorry, I couldn't think of the right word. When you first join your mastermind, and you feel the energy and the essence of giving that everyone gives, and that's what a true mastermind
Yes,
is. We're all there to
exactly.
support each other and to give and help everyone to rise, because it might be one individual that has a problem that they want working with, or it could be a topic that we all need to address. But even coming in as just a new member, and the energy, and people are so friendly, and I was welcomed, so
Absolutely.
it was wonderful. You don't feel, you soon lose that. As soon as you do your introduction, you lose that newness. You don't feel as if you're the odd
Yeah.
person out. You're made, you're included from the word go.
Right, right. So if anybody's interested in looking into the mastermind, I'd be happy to have that conversation with you. Just reach out to me with a private message from either LinkedIn or Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or wherever you can find me. And I'll be happy to have that conversation with you. But yeah, mastermind is a great way to build relationships, to build your business, to find answers. I remember the first two of the biggest masterminds. I'll talk about two of the biggest masterminds I ever participated in. One was Russell Brunson. I think he was the first mastermind of ClickFunnels. Russell Brunson. His and I think it may have been his first year of doing the mastermind that I was in there. I met um, my publisher in there for my first book that was an international bestseller. And had it not been for that relationship, you know, that book wouldn't have taken the trajectory it did. There are other people that I'm still in touch with from that first, and that was back in 2016 when I joined that. The next one that I joined was with Jay Fazette of JVology out of Canada, and that was a year-long mastermind process, as well as the one with Russell. And that's where I met Sherry, that we interviewed last a week ago, 2 weeks ago. That's where Sherry and I met. Was in Jay's in the first. It was actually we didn't actually meet at the mastermind. We met before that at an event, a live event that he did, and then we both joined the mastermind, and that's where our relationship began to grow. And you know, so we've been friends since 2016, and she's in this mastermind that we're talking about, and we collaborate on a lot of things. And so, you know, you never know where one collaboration conversation is going to take you
Yes.
and the impact that that person's going to have in your life and you're going to have in theirs.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So exciting.
And I mean, you know, I study with Bob Proctor. I study with the
Yes.
Proctor Institute, and the latest training that I did, it actually talks about masterminds. And if you actually hear Bob speak about that, he will tell you that all senior leaders, those that really excel and have got phenomenal careers and everything, they put a lot of that down to a mastermind.
Exactly.
Bob was in masterminds that lasted 30 years or more, that he had those people, and they all knew that they could reach out, that if there was
Yep.
something they needed to brainstorm, they could pick the phone up or message and say, can we spend 15 minutes in the mastermind and help me work through this
Yep.
problem? And then the whole
Exactly.
mastermind helps you with that. And just think, I mean, just to think the people that Bob was connected to, and you see that, but you can replicate that. You can take those
Exactly.
responses and those examples and replicate it, and you can you can quantum leap your business by brainstorming and masterminding with people that you resonate with. But be very careful when you choose your mastermind collaborators.
Indeed.
You have to know that you really resonate with those people, set ground rules, and show exactly how you're working with that. I know with the stuff that Bob teaches, there is almost a whole thing where there are principles. There are 7 principles that you follow to see for a good mastermind, and everyone reads it. So you're actually, it's like it's a binding contract that you enter that
Exactly.
mastermind session
It
knowing
is.
that you're talking about that. You're not wavering from it. You're there to discuss one topic, and that's what the
Right.
whole group will put there. So please consider very carefully, but also be prepared, like we talked about, knowing how to learn from others. There will be times when people will be your bestest friend, but there are some days where maybe the vibration doesn't land properly and you misunderstand the message they're saying, and just let it go, because otherwise you won't build from the work you've done in that mastermind on that
Yeah.
day, because you'll think about that niggle and you won't actually think about the positivity. So again, it's something,
Yeah.
it's a learning curve for many of us, because we're all passionate, especially as entrepreneurs, because we want to build, we're hungry to build our business and grow. And sometimes people say it's competition, but as we say, it isn't competition, it's collaboration and helping people. And once you
Right.
embrace that, which is how collaborations come about, and masterminds are the most perfect way of doing that.
Yeah. They're a great way to do that. They truly are. They truly are. Um, there was something you said, it triggered a thought there, and then I lost it. Sorry about that, folks. You never done that, right? You've never ever lost a thought. Anybody out there? There are so many opportunities to support one another, to grow together, to, um, there's, now I remember what the thought was. I was thinking about when I first met Jay Fazette of JVology. And, Jay's whole business is built on helping people create joint venture relationships. And those relationships are the fastest way to grow your business. If you really want to speed up the growth of your business, find great people to partner with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've spoken about this on previous sessions. The whole idea of joint ventures, you don't lose your identity. It's 2 identities coming together with an idea, but each of those identities remain, don't they? Because we actually looked
Yeah.
into this, didn't we? And
Yeah.
you sought legal counsel for it, didn't you?
Right. Yeah. On the projects that we're on. Absolutely. So yeah, but if you have someone in a joint venture, you have, or an alliance, there's some minor differences here, but we're going to lump it all together for the short term here. So in a joint venture or an alliance, you are working with someone else who has an audience that is your ideal client. And they trust you, this person that you're partnering with, trusts you enough to put your offer in front of their clients. Now, there's some real benefits there. They already have the relationship. Their people trust them. So now their people are going to trust you because they are recommending you. So it comes with this built-in trust that we spend so much time trying to develop, right? Trust is the name of the game. And we spend all of this time trying to build these trust relationships one-on-one, 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 when we can actually partner with somebody else that has a relationship with us and trusts us and knows that our product is good for their people and they have our people in their tribe. It's the fastest, one of the fastest ways to grow your business is to joint venture with someone else.
Definitely. And this is where you look at that whole quantum leap ideology.
Absolutely.
When you're doing something on your own, you're doing it over and over again. Sometimes you have to learn to change your approach, because doing the same thing over and over again isn't getting you the results. But then if you have that joint venture partner that comes together, you don't just amplify your message
Yeah.
100%, it can be 500%. And
Oh,
literally,
yeah.
what would
Absolutely.
take you years to do on your own through a joint venture proposition and putting that work and bringing those two people together and those two networks, you can springboard your idea and your company to just do what you would do in 5 years. You could do it in 5 months. Literally, you compress that through a quantum leap of doing the work of connecting and working with others.
Absolutely. If anybody needs more information on that, again, send me a private message. It's something I teach all the time, is how to do joint ventures. So, happy to answer any questions for you. But think about who you know. Who do you know who has your ideal client as their client, but they serve them in a different way? Their product and service is different than yours. It doesn't compete with yours at all. They're complementary. And then there's a process for reaching out to them in a way that doesn't burn bridges, and a way that gets you some good results and makes some great partnerships for a long-term business relationship. So there is an art and a science to it. There's a way to qualify those people. There's some language around the agreements, that kind of a thing. So it's not just go start picking up the phone, but do your homework. Know what you're doing on it, so that the connections that you make are good connections.
Yeah, because ultimately it's still your input still remains your brand. So this is where you've seen the connection that Regina and I have. You're watching these week in, week out. You've seen we've been connected for over a year now, and our friendship, our growth, that strength has just built and built from that, because we resonated. We knew, and we came from a place of honesty. We came from our heart. And so many people think, oh yes, business, you can't get your heart involved. But
if your heart's not involved, don't do it.
exactly, and knowing, because that is the strong foundation you set up. I am so excited to see where we will be in 3 years' time, in 5 years. You will not recognize us because of the work we're doing now. We will have springboarded our business, catapulted it so far into the future because of that work. We've done that quantum leap, and we've come together. So we've amplified our message. We've amplified our network by bringing them together, which is why we thought of this whole thing where we talk about collaboration every single.
Yeah, because recognize, when you collaborate with somebody else, 1 + 1 does not equal 2 anymore. 1 + 1 = 5 or 10, or you get that exponential growth when you collaborate with someone else. So, and the possibilities are endless.
Yes.
Absolutely endless. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, Pearl, this is fun as always. Love the times that we get together, and the opportunity that we can share with folks how they can grow their businesses, and particularly through having collaborating conversations.
Definitely. And as we've said, on Tuesdays, we interview others. On Thursdays, we share our pearls of wisdom here, and we just have a set topic. If there's a topic you'd like Regina and I to discuss, reach out to us and let us know. If you'd like to be a guest on our Tuesday shows, please also reach out. If you've got a collaboration, if you've got a joint venture partner that you'd like to promote that message, both of you reach out. Let us know.
Absolutely.
We are here to support each and every one of you.
Yep, absolutely. So with that, folks, we're going to wish you a wonderful day, and we will see you on Tuesday morning. And it's not nailed down yet, but I think you are going to love our guest on Tuesday morning. All works out. She is a young up-and-coming lady in Nigeria who's putting on a women's conference next month, and just delightful so far to interact with. And so we want to see all the things that she's doing. She has a YouTube channel, a Facebook page, and now is creating a women's conference about the new era of women. So I know she's doing a lot of collaborations, and excitedly, I get to be one of the speakers at her conference in Nigeria. I'm really excited about that. No, I'm not traveling to Nigeria. I will be remote, but I'm very excited to be a part of that.
It's
So,
wonderful.
yeah. So, last thoughts, Pearl?
Just please help us grow the International Women's Day Project. I've put it out there. Can you help us get to 1,000 phenomenal women that are involved in this project this year? I'd be so grateful if you could.
So we want you to do that, and we want you to join the project, but you know a lot of other phenomenal ladies that would be wonderful women who lead in their sphere. That would be wonderful for this opportunity. So let us know. Be sure and reach out to Pearl or myself. You can direct message us. You can put a comment in on the posts. You can reach us easily through any of the places where you might be viewing this. So have a wonderful day. We'll see you all next Tuesday. Bye for now.
Bye.